How's it going, Scrub Gamers? We're back with another video here at ScrubGames, and once again we are here with the next installment of my Understand How to Build series, where we go over all the leaders in a given set to help you understand how to build them to suit you and your playstyle. Now for this one we're going over the Ahsoka Tano leader, so we're moving on to the Star Deck ones. So if you're interested, then stay tuned, and also don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to keep updated with the channel. And also remember you can click the notification bell to get alerts when my videos do drop, so you can watch them there and then watch them at a later time and it suits you best. Now that all out the way, let's go ahead and jump in and help you understand how to build Ahsoka Tano. So first things first, we're going to start off with the leader, as Star Wars Unlimited is a leader-based game, meaning that you can't really play without one, and what are you going to build your deck around? So it's always best to understand what they want to do, because some leaders are very generic, some very focused on a certain kind of aspect or trait or things like that, so it's best to understand it. And for this leader we're going to start off with is Ahsoka Tano, aka Snips, and is not too bad a leader. Well, pretty good for a starter deck, because she provides you with the aggression and heroic traits, meaning the red and white aspects. She also provides you with some good traits in Force, Jedi, and Republic, which are really good ones. We got Republic being newish, well, not new, but more bolstered in this set since it's focused on the Clone Wars. You got the Jedi trait as well, which is gives you some good benefits from the set 3, and you also got Force trait, which also gives you some good benefits already to in general for the heroic side anyway. And also with that, she can deploy quite early at 5 resources, which is pretty nice. And when she does drop, she comes down as a free 6, which is pretty solid, because 6 health means she's out of the way of takedown, which is pretty good stat for a health stat, and free power is pretty nice as well. And she can boost her stats as well, and she can also boost the stats of others as well. Now she's one of those that focuses on the coordinate keyword, which is a new keyword from, a new keyword skill from set 3, which means you have to have 3 units on board to trigger that skill. So both her effects in both places require that. So when she's in the leader area, she's got an action skill that you can tap her as long as you've got 3 units on board. So you need 3 units on board for this, and you can attack with a unit and give it 1 extra power for that attack. So they attack with 1 extra power for that attack, which is pretty nice. Now when she's deployed, she still requires to coordinate, but now because she's deployed, she counts as one of those 3 units she has, she needs on board. So with herself and 2 other units on board, you can trigger the skill, and all it does is give her an extra 2 power. So while you got while she's deployed, and you have 2 other units on board alongside her, she is then a 5/6 instead of a 3/6, which is pretty cool. So she's pretty nice as a leader, and also she's got some nice benefits in her traits as well. And also don't forget that as of set 2, every leader in a set, even the starter decks, get a showcase, and this is a Ahsoka's one. So not the most amazing of the showcases, but still not too bad. Remember, a showcase is just an alternative art, and with art is always subjective, so if you like it, that's fair enough, and if you don't like it, then that's fair enough as well, because the only opinion that matters with a showcase with an alternative art is your own, because you'll be the one who's playing it. So there we go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to some of the basics of the game, so that any brand new players that might be watching, they have as much help as possible to help them build a deck for Ahsoka. But if you're more of a veteran player, don't feel you need some of this basic info, like about bases, aspects, and ratios, then feel free to skip along by using the timestamps in the description below to help you skip to whichever parts you're after, and they're noted for ease of reference for you. So that out of the way, let's go ahead and check out some basic information to help all of you newer players getting into this. So, along with your leader, you also have a base, and this is the other mandatory piece you need, as along with your leader, it is how you win or lose the game, and also provides you with that third aspect for use in the game. Now, there are currently only 2 types of bases as a set 3. There are the rare bases, which is located on the left-hand side of the screen. So the Shadow Collector Camp is a rare base. These have less health than the normal common bases, but they do compensate that by having an effect. It could be an epic action which requires an action to trigger. It could be a continuous effect that's always in effect all the time. Or it could be like Shadow Collector Camp here, be an effect that triggers at a certain point in the game, like when you deploy your leader. Now with the Everett bases, they are just 30 health bases that differ in, very little, in just basically name, place, art, and aspect. Now we're going to go into a little bit more detail about these bases, let you help you understand which one you might want to choose. So with the rare bases, there are currently just 8 in the game, because we got 4 in set 1, which is the top row there. So we got those ones from the first set. We didn't get any in set 2, but in set 3 we did get another lot, being another 4, and those are the bottom row, so 8 in total. And now the first ones, the ones from the first set, they're more competitively focused on the standard format, so more competitive use. They also all have 25 health and all have an epic action, meaning you have to take an action to trigger their effect, and none of them really interact with leaders. And now these ones are the ones that are mainly used. You've got Energy Conversion Lab, which is probably the most used of the rare bases out of all of them, because given Unit Ambush is very, very strong, it's such a good keyword skill. And Jealousy is one of the least played ones because the effect just isn't that great at the moment. Now, things like bases like Tarkin Town have now got a bit more play, recently due to certain decks and leaders and stuff. So that's seeing more play as well. And with the bottom row, the ones for set 3, those are the ones that really haven't they haven't done much, and they're not doing too much because they're more of a Twin Suns based focus. Because in Twin Suns, the difference is you get 2 leaders, and it's a multi-person format, so it's up to like 3 to 4 players. It's best play with, and you have 2 leaders in that, so you're gonna get double the benefit of using those bases than you would normally. And with these ones, they differ in health because you see the blue and yellow health base have the highest health for rare base at 26, and they also have a continuous effect, meaning that while you control a leader in Aspen deployed, it gains a stat boost either 1 health if you're playing the blue base or 1 power if you're playing the yellow base. Then you have the other 2 bases which lower a little bit in health, like the Droid Manufacturer being the lowest health of the rare bases at 24, and the Shadow Collector Camp being at 25 health like the first set ones. And these ones both have a when deployed effect. So when you deploy your leader, you get the benefit of it. And like I said, with Twin Suns, you have 2 leaders, you get double the benefit of those. And Droid Manufacturer is a nice one where when you deploy a leader, you create 2 Battle Droid tokens. And this can benefit both of the new traits from either side of the Force in the game. Because you have the dark side having an exploit, where if you by defeating units you control, you can play out a unit cheaper than its normal cost by 2 for everyone you defeat. So these 2 Battle Droid tokens would be nice to reduce length by up to 4 that has exploit. Now, Shadow Collector Camp is just one where when you deploy a leader, you draw a card, and that's what it does. And also, I probably should explain with the Droid Manufacturer again. On the light side, the keyword skill is Coordinate, which I could discuss with Ahsoka. Where you control 3 or more units on board, you get the benefit of that card of Coordinate. So if you deploy Ahsoka, you get those 2 draw tokens, mean her effect is straight away in effect, being 2 extra power boost. And with Shadow Collector Camp, you just draw a card when you deploy a leader, which can be very nice, but the draw isn't the be-all end-all like it might be in some games. Like the drawing isn't a massive thing, where the more you control, the better it is. It doesn't really work like that in this game in terms of drawing, because you're drawing 2 cards every turn at the end of your turn, so you don't really worry about not having cards to play or draw into. And then, like we said, with the other bases, they're just vanilla bases, common bases, which don't really differ much. They just all have the same in terms of 30 health, and the only things they differ in is name, location, aspect, and art. And since there's no benefit as of set 3 for name and location of a base, you literally just go for what your preferred art is in that aspect and play that. And these are some of my preferred arts of each of the aspects in this game. And sometimes I like to have 1 on each aspect, 1 for my dark side leaders and 1 for my light side leaders. So that way I have more for the good, 1 bad. So this is the bases. Now we're going to move on to the next part, being the aspects. Now in this game there are 6 aspects, and you can see they're all named on screen with their icon form. So you've got the blue one, which is Vigilance, so that's the blue aspect. You've got Command as the green aspect. Aggression is the red aspect. Cunning is the yellow aspect. And alongside those coloured aspects, there are the 2 light and dark ones, which represent the light and dark sides of the game. So you've got Villainy, which is the dark side, and as well focuses on more control and destruction. So it also has the characters, the antagonists of the Star Wars universe as among them. And then for Heroism is the white aspect, which stands for more peace and justice, and this one more focuses on the protagonist of the Star Wars universe. So those are the 6 aspects you have in the game, and what you'll have is you'll always have one of the 4 color ones on your leaders and base, and the light and dark ones for the Heroism will normally be attached to one of these other aspects on cards, but can also be solely on cards as well, and there are cards that don't have the aspects as well. But yeah, with these 6 aspects, there are style play, like for example, Heroism is more rebellious in terms of effects, so it might be for a more aggressive side of the game, whereas Villainy is more destructive, making for a more controlling side of the game. Now, these ever 4 ones, the coloured ones, they also have a style play, and we're going to go over them as well, so you kind of have an idea of where they kind of situate and which one kind of suits your playstyle. So starting off with Vigilance, this one allows you to play defensively with the ability to heal, remove dangerous units from play, and protect your base from attacks. And now this is a perfect aspect for anybody who likes patient playstyles to endure almost anything. So that sounds like a great playstyle for you. Go ahead and try Vigilance. Next we have Command. Now this is one that allows you to accelerate your resources and call upon lots of units or strengthen the ones you already have in play. So this is a perfect aspect if you're someone who likes to overwhelm your opponent with a massive board presence. So if that sounds like your style, go ahead and try Command. Then we have Aggression, and this is one that Ahsoka's already in, so you're getting the benefit of it already. And this is one that, just like the name suggests, is quite aggressive, but more in terms of damage than it is aggro. So this one allows you to attack with maximum efficiency and dish out loads of damage. And it's a great aspect for anybody who likes to play a fast-paced game, have a fiery playstyle, and break through your opponent's defenses quite easily, and just hurl damage until you achieve victory, essentially. So that's Aggression. So good luck with that, because you already got Aggression in Ahsoka. So you can always get that attached with a second one in the base. And then also you have Cunning as the last one. So with Cunning, this is more of a jack of all trades one. It's one of my favorite ones as well. It's one where you adapt to any situation on the fly with powerful and immediate effects, and also have lots of tools for disrupting your opponent's game plan. And this is an aspect that is a perfect fit for anybody who likes to respond quickly to threats and have an answer to almost anything your opponent can throw at you. So if that is something you are interested in or that suits you, then go ahead and try with Cunning. So those are the 6 aspects, and as we said, you get a leader which provides you 2 aspects, and you get a base which provides you the 3rd one. So by combining a base with Ahsoka, you get one of these 4 aspect combos. So if you got a blue base, you get access to the white, red, and blue aspects. With a green base, you get access to the white, red, and green base. With red, you get access to white and double red, so you get access to 2 red aspects, which is more of a restriction on your card pool, but you provide you with some good double aspect cards. And then lastly, if you put a yellow base with your leader, you get access to the white, red, and yellow. Now there are certain benefits to each of these aspects and what they kind of provide, but we'll go over that after we've gone over the basic information. But the last bit of information we have regarding the aspects are the aspect penalty. Because in this game, you can put any card in your deck, but when it comes to actually playing it, that's where the aspect penalty comes to effect. Now what the aspect penalty is essentially if you want to play a card and any of the aspects do not match what's on your leader or base, so in this case we have an example here which we'll go over in a sec, then you have to pay an additional 2 resources for every aspect that does not match. So we've got an example to go over the different ones. So we got the example of Ahsoka with a green base, give you access to white, red, and green. So if you want to play any card where the aspects match what's on your leader and base, so shown in the top box, you pay no additional cost, you pay whatever the cost is on the print on the card, and play it out. Now, if you want to play a card where one of the aspects on the card does not match what's on your leader or base, so we got another one example in this scenario with this leader base, then you have to pay an additional 2 resources in addition to the cost of the card. So meaning if a card costed 2 and you had one aspect that didn't match, it costs an extra 2 on top, turning it from a 2 cost to a 4 cost, which is a little bit more expensive. Now you got an example here in the second box in the middle one of examples of those with 2 costs with this leader based combo. And do also remember that the aspects only find one copy of themselves. So with your leader and base, you get 1 white, 1 red, or 1 green. So you want one of each of those. If you want to play a card that's double green or double red, you have to pay an extra additional 2 on top, because one of the aspects is covered by what's on your leader. So for a double red card, you get 1 red aspect from Ahsoka. Because you don't have that second red aspect from a base, and you got green instead, you have to pay an extra additional 2 on top, making it still a bit more expensive. Now, if you want to play a card where both the aspects had 2 aspects on and both didn't match what's on your leader base, then you have to pay a whopping 4 additional resources, remember it's 2 for each one, on top of the card's printed cost. So once again, if a card costed 2 and both the aspects didn't match, that's an extra 4 on top, meaning a card that would normally cost 2 now costs 6, which is a big difference. Now that's shown in the bottom box there for anything that would, or this leader based combo, that would cost an additional 4. Now do bear in mind that while the aspect penalty does make a card more costly, sometimes the effect of a card is worth playing it out of aspect in a certain deck. Like for example, the best one is the double aspect events from set 1. There are 4 cost cards that give you 4 options, and you can choose any 2 among them and resolve how you want. And you don't always want to play a double aspect deck to play them in, so you might play a dual aspect deck and put them in as well. because their effect is just so great that it's worth paying an extra 2 to play it as a 6 cost rather than a 4 cost in a deck. So do bear in mind what the aspect penalty does make a card more costly. Sometimes the effect of a card is worth playing out of aspect in a certain deck. And that is the last bit of the aspect penalty. So if you have any questions about this, do leave it in comments below. But now we're going to move on to the last bit of basic information, being the ratios. So in this card game, like with every card game, you can play a certain amount of copies of any given card. And in Star Wars Unlimited, you can play up to 3 copies of a given card. I mean, you can play either 1, 2, or 3 copies. And we're going to go over what the benefits are to each ratio, because some cards have certain certain ratio you want to play, while some you can play less, and it all comes down to what you prefer. But we're going to give you some help to help you decide when you would want 3, 2, or 1 copies of any given card. So if you want to play 3 copies of a card, this is usually the ratio for helping maximize the likelihood the desired card will be in your hand when needed. And examples being cards you want to play on the absolute first turn of the game, or cards you want to see multiple copies of over the course of a whole game. So for example, I've got is Resupply. This is a nice one. Well, why you can play it turn 1 because it's a 3 cost card and you only get 2 resources from the first turn. This is a card you usually, if you're putting your deck to ramp, you want to see at least 1 copy of it as early as possible, being turn 2 when you can play it. So you might put this up at 3 resources, so when it comes to turn 2, you hopefully draw into it so you can use it to ramp straight away to go then from being turn 2 at 3 resources, ramping up to 4. So when you come to your third turn, which would normally be on 4, you're now on 5 resources, then you can even deploy Ahsoka on as early as turn 3. So very nice there. So that's a good example of when you want 3 copies of a card, or even for copies for cards you want to play on first turn. Make sure you have a first turn play. You can have copies of those at 3 as well. Then for 2 copies of a card, this is usually a ratio for cards that aren't great to draw early in the game, but you still want to have you still want to go multiple copies of them through the course of the game. And examples of those are boss cards, so the high costing boss monsters, or high costing cards. An example I always use in these videos now is Rival's Fall, because it's a very high costing card at 6, but has the effect of defeating a unit. So it could do any unit in the game, even leaders, which is sometimes a bit more tricky when it comes to defeating leaders. There's not many cards that will allow you to defeat a leader, because some of them are obviously non-leader unit, or they have a restriction like with Takedown, having to have 5 or less health, means outside of that range you can't hit it, unless you weaken it first, which you might want to do. So Rebel's Fall is a card that you don't want it early in the game because you can't use it, and you don't want to hold on to it until you can use it, because then it clogs your hand, reduces the amount of options you have, and makes it so you're not playing as efficiently as you could. But I have 2 copies. Hopefully you don't see it turn 1 or early in the game, and then when you do see it later in the game when you can use it, you can then go ahead and use it. And then that brings us to 1 copy of a card. Now this is usually the ratio for cards that are added to a deck specifically in order to counter a certain situation or kind of thing that can like a situation that can come up. And example I always put in these videos now is the card Restock, which is added to decks to help counter hard control decks. Because I think I've already gone over this in the video, but the only way to win the game is by doing enough damage to a base up to its health. So if your opponent's got 30 health base, still 30 damage to it, will win you the game. But you can also take damage out when you can't draw cards. So if you ever got to a point where you can't draw any more cards, whenever you try to draw a card during the regroup phase, if you can't draw one, you take 3 damage for each one. So you can't draw one card at the end of the turn, you take 3 damage. If you can't draw 2 cards, you take 6 damage. So hard control decks will focus on just controlling the game and use that as a way to deal damage, so they can keep controlling the game and have you deck out and take damage that way. Now with Restock, that allows you to put 4 cards from your discard to the bottom of your deck in a random order. And how the game works is you have to put that Restock itself back as one of those cards, so you can loop it round and round again to avoid taking deck out damage. This will make it so hard control decks can no longer go that route to deal damage to you, and will then have to find a different way to do it instead. So hopefully that's helped you understand when you want 3, 2, or 1 copies of any given card. Know that basic information that way. We're going to go to dive in, have a look, and see what the benefits of each leader-based combo is to give you, and what aspect combos those provide you. So the first thing I'm going to do is go over the double aspect, as back in set 1, this was a more restrictive because we had only 1 set, you had access to less cards, and back in set 1 as well, there was only every aspect had 1 leader that could be pretty decent and go into double aspect, but it wasn't the best way to do it. And now with 3 sets in the game, you have now triple the amount of everything, being double aspect, single aspect, and all those cards. Meaning now you have access to more options for a double aspect, and every leader now can go into it in a decent capacity. Now back in set 1, double aspect in red was the worst of the double aspects because the first lot of cards weren't the greatest, but now they've got better over time and you got now some better options. Now, with the cards, we have the top left of the three cards, being the ones you got set 1, being Saw Gerrera, Rallying Cry, and Aggression. You had from set 2, you then got Bo-Katan, Wild Rancor, and also the Chaos of War, which added some nice benefits. And then for set 3, you got even more in terms of the bottom row, being Mr. Bones, Twice the Pride, and Limit Power. Now, if you look at the cost of these cards, most of them are quite high costing, and also they're not the greatest effects. Like Saw Gerrera, like for the first set of ones, like Saw Gerrera wasn't great. It was good stats for its cost, but where it's got quite low health and it mainly focused on taxing your opponent for playing events. If you went up against a deck that didn't really use many events, it wasn't helpful because it just meant it got taken out easily and didn't really get any benefit of it. And same with Rallying Cry. This is a really nice one that allows you to give all your units raid 2 for the cost of 3 resources, which is cool. But if you can't get a board out to make use of, like quite a large enough board to make benefit off of it, then it wasn't really providing you too much. And with double red, focus on double red, if only having red cards and not having many options in terms of good cheap units, it wasn't the best. Where now with a third set is even a little bit better. Now we've got more units. And in aggression, every aspect had one of these events, which were double aspect, forecast, name after aspect, and give you 4 options. You could use A2 and resolve them. Compared to what the other ones do, aggression isn't that great. Like you can ready a unit, but it's got to be 3 less power, which is quite weak. You can do 4 damage to a unit, which you can do. You got events that do it cheaper. You can draw a card, which isn't the biggest thing in the game, especially when you pay 4 resources for it. And then you can defeat up to 2 upgrades, which is probably one of the best effects on it. Now this wasn't the best, but now with it being set 3, it's a little bit better, but it isn't as great compared to the other ones. Like it's probably the weaker out of those 4 events. Then with set 2, you got some nice new additions, mainly in Bo-Katan, being a solid cheap unit, a 2 cost 3/3, which you got the same in terms of other aspect combos. You got this kind of cost effect, but this one also has effect, being that if you want to play with if you play it out and she dies, well, if you got 15 damage on either base, you draw a card for each time, and you can get the benefits of that by drawing more cards to replace itself. So having an effect with that stat's pretty cool. And then next we have War Anchor, not the best, like high costing, not too bad on stats, overall as well, but when it comes out, it does 2 damage to everything in the Grand Arena, even your units as well, so not the best of units. And in Chaos of War, this was a nice one. We could do potentially more damage than what's it called? Than 4 Calls of Believing, but it does damage to yourself as well. It does damage to each player's base equal to the number of cards in the hand. So you might not have many cards in your hand. You can use, if you got no cards or barely any cards in your hand, it could do no damage to you or less damage to you, and then more damage to your opponent. But it depends on the cards. And like I said, draw isn't huge. It's when you get certain decks it could be more beneficial. Whatever cards you probably want to go for a Calls of Believing. And that brings us to new ones. And the new ones are probably better. Not really unlimited power because it's costing 6 to do up to 10 damage to units. I'm not sure if it can do if old to 1 unit or to multiple, but still not the best. And then you got the other 2 which are a lot better. We've got Mr. Bones being a new cheap unit. And that is a 1 cost 3/1, which is pretty nice. Pretty good stats. And if you've got no cards in hand when it attacks, you do 3 damage to a ground unit, which could be pretty nice. Just having a cheap unit like that, giving you more benefits, especially when you throw out Rallying Cry on it later on in the game as well, is really cool. And you got Twice the Pride being a big upgrade, because it's a 2 cost upgrade, it gives an extra 4 power. Now there is a downside to it, I mean you do 2 damage to whatever you equip it to, but still that can even be a benefit more than a downside, because if you got a card with Grit, Grit is a keyword skill where the card gets powered up for every damage it takes. So this can not even give just a 4 power boost, but even potentially a 6 power boost to cards with Grit. So you can get some really nice benefits from that. And it could even be a 4 power could be enough to help you, as long as you can swing with it, help you win a game. So these are pretty nice for terms of aspect. You probably go pretty well with Ahsoka, as long as you get enough units out. And where you want to put units out so that way you can get the benefits of her having coordinate, you can then get the benefits of things like Rallying Cry as well. Next, we're going to go over what benefits Ahsoka gives you in terms of her aspects. Because before we go and see what the benefits of having a base is, we might as well have to look and see what Ahsoka brings herself. Because she brings you the heroic side of aggression, normal side of aggression, and also heroic units. So for the heroic side of aggression, you get some really nice ones. Also, if you want to go double red, remember you got these 2 bases as your rare bases, being Target Town and Shadow Click Camp. Both 25 health, but offers nice effects like Target Town can help you finish line queue we're just shy of taking out, and Shadow Collecting Camp can help you draw a card when you deploy Ahsoka. Now, in terms of units, you've got pretty nice ones. Like, you've got some good space units in terms of, like, Green Squadron A-Wing and Red 3 being nice ones you can play early and provide benefits, like Green Squadron being a good first turn play and very powerful when it swings, while Red 3 can come down as early as turn 2 and give everything else that's heroic Raid and have Raid itself. Raid being a skill where when you attack, you gain more power equal to the number on the unit, so it gives Raid 1, giving every unit that attacks as heroic an extra 1 attack when they swing. You also got some good units, like cheaper units, like Batch Brothers and Cassian Andor, because Batch Brothers is a really nice one, which can help you trigger Ahsoka's Coordinate by, when it's played, it plays a Clone Trooper token, so you can get 2 units out for free resources, meaning you can help fulfill the Coordinate ability for Ahsoka by having more units and getting more units out for the cost. You also have Cassian as well, being a very good statted unit at 3, and you can also smuggle it out later for 5 resources, and when you do smuggle it out, it comes in ready to attack straight away, which is really nice. You also do have some bigger units like Poe Dameron and Mace Windu, pretty nice ones, and legendaries at that. They are some knife effects, like Poe, he's got some good stats at a 5 cost 6/6. You can also have Anakin from the starter deck instead, if you wanted a more units with more beneficial traits, like Anakin having Force, Jedi, and Republic, but then Anakin also requires the coordinate skill to just draw cards, whereas Poe Dameron, when it attacks, allows you to discard up to 3 cards, and depending on how many cards you discard, you can do a number of actions. You can't do all the same one multiple times, you can do one of each, so if you discard 3 cards, you get all 3. If you discard 2, you choose 2 of them. If you discard 1, you just pick 1 of them. And those options are to deal 2 damage to a base or unit, defeat an upgrade, or do have an opponent discard a card from their hand. So nice little benefits there, and it's very good legendary because the stats as well as the effects. Then you got Mace Windu being like your Vader for the light side of aggression, because he's got the same cost and stats, also has an ambush, but its effects differ after that, because then his attack effect is when he attacks a unit and defeats a unit, he can ready himself. So he can come down, ambush, attack a unit, defeat it, then ready himself to either attack another unit to help you clear the board, or to attack your opponent's base straight after. You also got some nice events and upgrades like Heroic Resolve and Heroic Sacrifice, nice little heroic cards. Heroic Sacrifice allowing you to attack with a unit by allowing you to draw a card. Attack with a unit, give it 2 extra power for that attack, but then it's defeated at the end of that attack. If it does combat damage, if it just deals combat damage. So you normally using this to crash into it for more power, draw a card, and basically just push more power into a unit or base. And Heroic Sacrifice is a nice one because it's a 1 cost upgrade that gives you a 1/1 boost to stats. But at any point, you can use his action skill to then pay 2, defeat itself from the unit, and attack with that unit it was attached to, giving an extra 4+ power and overwhelm for that attack. A nice benefit is that it's not just a 4 power, but overwhelm as well, meaning you can then crash into a leader and still do piercing damage to go to base. You can either do an extra swing something to go more to your opponent's base for more power, or if you want to go for a unit, you can do that and still do damage to your opponent's base, because overwhelm is piercing damage, meaning that if you do damage to your opponent's unit and it exceeds the health when you have overwhelm on the unit, that exceeded damage goes to your opponent's base instead. You also have the normal side of aggression, being like some of these units, like use some of the same, like Wolf and Descending Fangfighter, because they're very useful in almost all situations, because you got Wolf that helps prevent healing, because when it comes down and being played or attacks, bases can't be healed for that phase, so you can help stop your opponent from healing while you're being aggressive to them. And the Sabling Fangfighter allows you to come down and take out upgrades, since it was good in set 2 with things like Darksaber and Boba's Armor. It's going to be even better when we've got more good upgrades for set 3. You also got Heavy being a nice one, which also gets benefit from Coordinate, being Raid 2, so when you got 2 more units on board, it gains Raid 2, so it swings higher. Solid stats at 4 cost 4/4, and also when defeated deals 1 damage to each enemy ground unit as well. And you got upgrades like Arm to the Teeth, which allow you to, when you attack, give a never friendly unit 2+ power for that phase, powering up, and it gives itself, for the cost of 2, a 2+ power boost to a unit as well. You could also smuggle out later if you want to as well, being an easy card to resource. And then you got loads of good events in aggression as well, like you got Force Throw, Precision Fire, Daring Raid, and Pillage being nice ones. Like the first 3 being 1 cost ones, so very cheap ones. Force Throw getting a good benefit from having Ahsoka as well, because it gets more benefits with a Force unit, and Ahsoka is one of those. So just in general, when you play it, you choose player, and you player discards card from hand. But if you control a Force unit, you can, which Ahsoka is, you can then do damage to a unit equal to the cost of the discarded card. So you can make your opponent discard a card, but they're mostly going to choose a weaker one to discard, so you do less damage. Or you can make yourself discard, and then you can choose what card you can discard. So a high costing card that makes you do a certain amount of damage to a certain unit, which is really cool. You also have some Precision Fire and Daring Raid as well, which are pretty nice units. Because you've got Precision Fire being a nice one where you can attack with a unit, and it gains Saboteur, and if it's a Trooper, which mostly all the Republic clones are, like from the new set, and those token units are all troopers as well, it gets extra 2 power for that attack. So you can attack with these little token units or some of these clone troopers, these clones that have the trooper, and make him swing for a little bit more power, which is cool. And also have Daring Raid, which allows you to straight up do 2 damage to either a unit or a base. I mean, you can either finish off a unit or do more damage to your opponent's base to be more aggressive. And then you have Pillage, allowing you to discard 2 cards from a hand, and you're always going to choose your opponent, you're never going to choose yourself. So you can discard 2 cards for 4 costs. That's pretty nice. So some pretty good cards from Ahsoka. Now we're going to see what kind of benefits you get when you add a different aspect to the mix of your base. So when you add a blue base, you get access to pretty nice blue cards, being more defensive and more options in terms of like removal and stuff. And you get a lot more good force benefits. So if you want to focus more on the force trait, blue is a good one to add. You also have these rare bases, being Security Complex and Pal City. Security Complex is a pretty nice one. They give a shield to a unit, so you can keep a unit around to keep that coordinate live for your leader. Or you got Pal City, meaning that when Ahsoka comes down, she's got an extra 1 health, meaning she's then a free 7 instead of a free 6, which is pretty cool. But these are lower health bases, but you can make that a lot easier in blue because you've got a lot of heal, and you also got Restore, being a skill when you attack, you heal damage from your base equal to the number on Restore. And you got some good units, you got some good space ones like Restored Arc and Obi-Wan's Avis Sprite, being nice ones, nice space units that come out different ways, different times. Like Restored Arc being like a nice turn 1 unit, and it's got good stats and a Restore 1, so every time it swings, it heals 1 from your base. Then you got Obi-Wan's Avis Swipe being a card you can deploy as soon as Ahsoka comes down, which is cool. And it's got an effect that triggers both when it's played and when it attacks, allowing you to deal 1 damage to itself, but then deal 2 damage to another space unit. I mean, you can help take out your opponent's units in space a little bit easier with this. Then you got some good ground units like Yoda and Luke Skywalker being pretty nice ones. Them both being Force units as well, so you can get the benefits of those Force cards, or the cards that require a Force unit in play. And Yoda's a nice one where it gives you Restore 2, so it heals 2 when it swings. And also, if it's defeated, you can choose yourself to draw a card, which is quite nice to replace himself. And you then got Luke as your big endgame boss monster, which is a 6/7, which is pretty good. And when it's played, you can minus something by 3/3 to the stats for the turn. But if you lost something that was, if something of yours was defeated this phase, when you drop him, it minuses for 6/6 instead of 3/3, which is pretty cool. Now, it is a 7 cost, but it's still a very high costing card and a very good one, and one of the best legendaries you can have for the light side of blue. And then you got some nice upgrades and effects as well. Like you got Jedi Lightsaber being a nice one. Remember, most of these are cards that get additional benefit if you got a Force unit. So like Jedi Lightsaber being a free cost upgrade, get a free boost to stats, really good. And if it's attached to a Force unit like Ahsoka, when it attacks, it can give the defender that is attacking into minus 2/2 for the phase. So you minus the stats of a unit by 2/2, meaning it does 2 less damage back, and also has 2 less health, meaning you take it a little bit easier. It's a very nice one that you can equip to your leader, because leaders are a little bit harder to kill, making Ahsoka then turn from a 3/6 to a 6/9 that can take anything out with 8 health or less, which is cool. You then got extra benefits like Mystic Reflection and the Force With Me being more Force events that get more benefits of a Force, because in general, Mystic Reflection will give a unit minus 2 power for the phase. But if you can draw a Force unit, it also gives, if you're going to draw a Force unit, it also gives a minus 2 health as well. So a Force unit, you give something minus 2/2, so just minus 2 to the power. And Force With Me is a very nice card, 4 cost event, so a bit more costly, but it allows you to choose a friendly unit, attack, give it 2 experience, and attack away straight with it. So give it a 2/2 permanent boost, and then attack with it. But then if you draw a Force unit, it gives in addition to that unit a shield. It gives all that benefits, plus a shield to it as well, which is very nice. And then you got Hello There being a very nice trick. It's a free cost event that allows you to choose any unit that enter play the same phase and get minus 4/4 to a stats. And remember, the benefits with minus the stats is if health of a unit goes down to 0 or damage or it goes to 0 health remaining after you use an effect that minuses stats, then it would be defeated. So Hello There is a nice way to either just take out anything that's got 4 or less health when it's played, or make something that's been played that's quite big weaker, so you can take it out without too much of a retaliation from it. And then the normal side of blue, you got some pretty nice stuff. Like, you ain't got the best stuff, but in terms of units, but you got some nice events and stuff. So you've got some nice cheaper units in terms of like Guardian of Wolves being a nice force unit that's not in the heroic side, which is cool to get the benefit of those force events or have more force units on play earlier to get benefits of those force cards. You also got the Tree Tender as well, which is pretty cool. A cheap unit that also has grit, so if it's damaged, it gets more powerful, which is cool. And you've got some nice bigger units like Kiedi Mundi being a Nera Force unit is pretty good, where if you control, it's also got the benefit of having coordinates. If you have 2 more units on play, it gets the benefit of its effect, which is when your opponent plays a second card each phase, you draw 2 cards. And a Zillow base being like your big end, like your top end for blue. 9 cost 10/10 for its stats, but when it's played, it minuses all the ground arena units that your opponent controls by 5 power for this phase. And during the regroup phase, at the end of the turn, it always heals 5 damage from itself. So it gets damage, it will keep healing itself, which is cool. And in terms of events, you get some pretty nice ones. You get Covert Strength and it binds all things like nice healing effects, because they both technically, in a sense, heal 3. Because Covert Strength will heal 2 damage, but give you an experience to that unit as well. So you technically heal 3 because you're going up by 3 health. By healing 2 and getting experience, which also gives you an extra 1/1 to your stats. And it can be smuggled out as well, so it's a nice one to charge. And you got Binds All Things, which is one of those cards that also gets a benefit from Force units. But usually it just heal 3 damage from unit. But if you control a Force unit, you can do how much damage that you healed to another unit, which is cool. And then you got some nice like instant defeat effects like Takedown and Fellow Dragon, which allow you to just take out event units, but with more restrictions because they're more more cheaper. So if you like that kind of stuff that's kind of shown there for Vigilance, like that kind of like small bit of example of Vigilance, you go ahead and try that. It'll make for a nice way to play Ahsoka. Next, we've got Command. And Command's a nice one to kind of deploy Ahsoka a little bit early because you've got some pretty cool stuff in like ramping and some pretty nice heroic units as well. You've got some cheap ones you can play as early as turn 1, like Battlefield Marine and Tactical Republic Tactical Officer. And these are ones you can play turn 1. Tactical Republic Officer, you might not want to play turn 1 because it gets more of a benefit when you've got something out on play, being a Republic unit, because when you play it, you can attack a Republic unit and give it 2+ power for that attack. And you're normally going to play this when you've got Ahsoka out or another Republic unit out, because you can then attack with them and get more power boosts when you attack. Whereas Battlefield Marine's a good turn 1 unit, what's a 2 cost 3/3, which is pretty good stats for its cost. Has no effects, but still its stats are pretty good. Then you got other units you can play after, like Sandari Peacekeeper, Murder Cohort, and also Bright Hope, being nice like higher units, like Sandari Peacekeeper being a card you can play on turn 2. High bulk, not much power, but also has Raid 2 and Restore 2, so when it swings, it's healing 2 from your base and giving 2 power for that attack. Whereas Murder Cohort is a 4 cost 2/4, which has Ambush and Raid 2, so Ambush means it can attack the same turn it's played into one of your opponent's units, and when it swings, it gains 2 power, which is pretty nice. Then you got Bright Hope, be a nice one for the space arena, and also Pelter Supply Frigate as well, which is a pretty cool one to help with coordinate. Because Bright Hope's a nice one where it comes into space with a good amount of bulk, not much power, but also Sentinel, protecting you in a space arena from units going to your base by being out. And when you play it, you can return a friendly non-leader ground unit back to your hand. And if you do draw a card, and that's nice and beneficial because you can then bounce back cards that have one played, like Republic Tactical Officers, and use them again, or bring out something that's almost like defeated on your ground unit back to hand, so you can play out fresh and avoid it being defeated, which is pretty nice. Then you also have Pelter's Supply Frigate, which when it's played, as long as you've got 2 other units on board as well, you can create a Clone Trooper token to add more stuff to your board, and it's a 5 cost 3/6, so it comes out with the same stats as Ahsoka on the turn she's played, while deployed. And then you got a Leia Secura being a nice legendary for the deck, being a nice 5 cost 5/6 Force Jedi Republic unit that once again benefits from this coordinate skill, so having more units on board. And when she attacks, she prevents all damage done to her from that attack. So you can attack to another unit, take no damage back, but they take that 6 damage from her. And then you've got U Reinforcement be one of your bigger end cards, being a nice one where you look at the top 10 cards of your deck, and then you can play up to 3 units among them that have a cost of 7 or less combined, and play them out for free. So you can get one big 7 cost unit, a few units like a 3 and a 4, or multiple ones like 2 2s and a 3 to spam out a board of more units to help you have enough units on board for things like Coordinate. Pretty nice to add. And then you've got these rare base being Energy First and Droid Manufactory, which could be really nice. Like Droid Manufactory helps Ahsoka have her effect triggered, which she deploys because you get those 2 battle tokens. But it's the lowest health, but you do have some. You could potentially have some good heal in command, not a massive amount, but some like kind of mitigates cost. And Energy Conversion Lab is usually a really good card, especially with red heroic leaders, to allow you to ambush in some pretty nice threats like Podama, for a good example, was a good one to ambush because it gets benefit from attacking rather than waiting the turn and then using it. And then on the non-light side of command, you got some pretty cool stuff. Like you got some more cheap units, like you got Colonel Yularen, you got Coruscant Guard, 501st Liberator, and a Consortium Star Viper being pretty nice ones. So you got cheap units like Yularen being a way to heal as well, because every time you play a command unit, you heal 1 damage from your base. You can even count himself. Coruscant Guard comes down with ambush. You've got 2 other units on board when it's played, which would be useful to just come in and attack straight away. 501st Liberator is a nice way to heal as well, because if you control another Republic unit, which Ahsoka is, you heal 3 damage to your base, and a 3-cost 3/3 is pretty good stats. And talking about those stats, you've got Consortium Star Viper that's doing the same thing for your base, or for your space, sorry. And when you're on initiative, it gains Restore 2, so it swings and heals 2 from your base. You've got some nice healing for that. And you've got some nice events and upgrades as well. Like you've got General's Blade, very, very good one. Just like we saw for blue, you've got the Jedi Lightsaber. This offers the same in terms of stats for its cost, being a free cost given free boost. And if your leader is a Jedi, which if you put Ahsoka, she is a Jedi, her effect now gains when she attacks. She plays out something. The next unit she will play costs 2 less. I mean, you can play anything that's 2 costs or less for free, or play something bigger a little bit earlier, which is pretty cool. And then you got some nice events as well. You got Timely Intervention being another way to get ambush on a card by allowing you to use this to play a card out with ambush. Now you still got to pay the cost of the card. Do remember that? But this is one you could smuggle out as well, so you can always resource and smuggle out later. You got Commission as well, being a nice one, and a 1-cost event that helps you search for things, either any any bounty hunter item or transports, you've got some good transport in the space units. You got items like General's Blade and stuff, or even Ahsoka's own lightsaber as well. And you got bounty hunters, which aren't too many in green, but you can have some. There are some you can potentially find and get back from you got from set 2. And you got resupply as a way to ramp to potentially go from deploying Ahsoka on turn 4 to potentially bring that on turn 3 instead, which is pretty cool. So that's command. If you feel like some of these benefits will be quite nice, like General's Blade, ramping up, healing as well would be cool, then go ahead and try command. And then that brings us to the last aspect you can gain from adding a base, and that is Cunning. So the rare base you got from this is Jeddah City, which isn't the best. I wouldn't recommend it. It's not for what Ahsoka wants to do. And also Petronaki Arena, which could give her a bit more power, but remember it's got lower health, and you don't really have healing in red and yellow, so it might not be the best to have a low health, but it's up to you what you want to do. And you got some pretty nice units. So you got some really good early turn units, like you got the droids in Chopper, L337, and R2D2. And you got Millennium Falcon being a good space one. These offer some nice benefits, like Chopper being a way to kind of mill your opponent's deck. And if you hit a event from what card it gets milled, you can tap on your opponent's resources to mess with your opponent's resources they have. You got L337, which can help you rescue cards that are captured by your opponent. But if you don't capture anything, you can then play it with a shield token, meaning it's got a protection, which is pretty cool to keep it around and have that coordinate skill live a little bit easier. You got R2 being a very nice one that you can discard any card from your hand to then look at the top 3 cards of your deck and grab any one among them to add to your hand, and put the other 2 to the bottom of your deck around in order, meaning you can kind of dig for something you're looking for a little bit easier with R2, which is cool, and good stats for its cost, being quite bulky at 4 health. You also got Millennium Falcon that can come in and attack straight away, because when it comes in ready. But the downside to that, as well as having good stats, is that if you want to keep it on board during the resupply phase, you have to tap a resource, meaning you could be a resource down to keep it on board, or you just bounce it back to your hand. Now your bigger units you got that can ambush the stuff as well is Plo Koon and Han Solo, be nice ones. Both can ambush to attack the same turn. Both have 6 health, but have slightly different stats and costs, like Plo Koon is 5. But if you have Coordinate live, so never 2 units alongside him when he's played, he can gain raid 3 and also has ambush, so he can potentially hit for 6 or 3 depending if you've got 2 other units on board. Now Han Solo always hit for 6, but he got 7. But he's also got a shoot first mechanic, so if he attacks, he deals damage first. So if his power would take out the unit before, as a result of the battle, that unit will be taken out before it does damage back, meaning Han Solo will take no damage back, which is cool. And you also got some good events like Spark Rebellion and Bamboos will be a nice cheap event. Spark Rebellion allowing you to look at your opponent's hand, have that hand knowledge and rip any card out of it to the hand, which is cool. And then Bamboos will be a way to kind of tap things down and then put any upgrade on it, being like experience, shields, or they've attached back to the hand, and you can play it for free as well by discarding a different Cunning card to play it without paying your resources, which is pretty nice. Then in the non-heroic side, you got some pretty cool stuff, like you got Greedo, Crafty Smuggler, and Cloud Rider being nice cheap units, all offering some pretty nice stats, like Crafty Smuggler is essentially a non-heroic version of L337, just without the kind of rescue mechanic put in, and can't be smuggled out. And you got Greedo be a nice cheap unit, but then it's very fragile but with good power. But if he dies, you can put him on top card of your deck, and if it's not a unit, so an event or upgrade, you can deal 2 damage to a ground unit, so kind of maybe avenge whatever it attacked it if it survived. And Cloud Rider is a nice ambush one, same as Greedo, pretty fragile, so it's not going to survive, but it can ambush and potentially finish off something or take out something before it gets going. Then you have Sharpshooter being a more powerful one, being a double the cost of Cloud Rider, having ambush as well, being a 4 power, 3 health, so something that can ambush later on in the game. And you got some nice upgrade events. You got some really good events in Cunning, some very nice ones there. You got Jetpack as a way to kind of protect temporarily a unit by putting it on for the cost of 2, give it a 2 power boost. You can smuggle it in as well, so you can always, this could be an easy resource anytime. And it gains a temporary shield, meaning it gains a shield until the end of the turn. So the end of the turn, if that shield's still there, it disappears. But you can use it as a way to protect the units who can swing at a base a little bit more powerful and be protected to do so. Or you can have it protect the unit, so when you clash with your opponent's unit, yours is a 5-2 shield, but theirs won't. You also got some nice events like Political Pressure, be a nice one you can play very early, 1-cost event. It is basically allows you to choose an opponent, and they discard a random card from hand, so it could be any card they don't choose, it's random. But if they don't want to lose a random card of hand, because they don't want to lose any cards from hand or a certain card from the hand, then they give you 2 Battle tokens. And those 2 tokens go a good way into helping your coordinate skill be alive to have that trigger, especially with Ahsokas or any whatever ones. So a pretty nice one there. You got things like Surprise Strike, allowing you to attack with a unit and give it 3 power from that attack. I mean, you can attack with something more powerful that swing, either take up something bigger or do more damage in one swing to your opponent's base. And have now there are 2 of them to kind of spam out things like if you deploy Ahsoka, you can potentially use now there are 2 of them to play out Anakin for them free, the one from the start, which we'll see in a bit, and then bring it out and never play another unit because you only paid 3 for that, and then have a coordinate life in both Anakin and Ahsoka as well. So Cunning could be more like for an aggressive way to play Ahsoka, hit harder and be more controlling. So if you want like that, then you can potentially go ahead and play Cunning with Ahsoka. And then also there are heroic cards as well. So there are cards that are just heroism that can help you benefit. And in set 1, but they will have a focus more on each set with the heroism cards. Like set 1 was on focus of rebels, which Ahsoka isn't, so not much benefit. You can use R2D2 and C3PO from it if you wanted to help play cheap units to kind of benefit each other. If you wanted to. You also got set 2 being more focused on Underworld, which really only have like tech as the main benefits. The rest were like Wookiees and stuff, but tech allows you to kind of have more smuggle options to make you turn essentially your resources into a second hand. And for set 3, you have more of a focus on Republic stuff in terms of the heroic side. And there are some good benefits, so you can get some cheap units that are like a Phase 1 Clone Trooper or Phase 2 Clone Trooper, being the same stats, different costs, but then the 3 cost having Ambush with a 2 cost is just a vanilla card. And even have Drop In as a way for 4 to get you 2 Clone Trooper tokens to help trigger the coordinate. So nice stuff like that. And don't forget that Ahsoka is a starter deck leader, so along with her, as a starter deck exclusive leader, she also gets starter deck exclusive cards. And the 4 you get, because you get 4 from each side, so the other leader will get the 4 on their side as well. But for Ahsoka, you gain starter exclusives of Captain Rex, Anakin Skywalker, 332nd Stalwart, which is like her company, I think, of clones, and Ahsoka's Padawan lightsaber as well. So these are pretty nice because if you play, if you play green, you can have Captain Rex, which is a 6 cost, 4/4. It's not the best stats for this cost, but when played, gets you 2 Clone Trooper tokens, so you can help spam out for coordinate to be live a lot easier. You got Anakin, which if you don't want to buy into Poe as quite like a more costly in terms of legendary, like a more costly card, then Anakin be more budget option by giving you same stats but different effects and also different skit stats. Because when he attacks, if he's got coordinate online, he draws a card which can be more beneficial than Poe if you feel like it, but then still compensates with having the same stats as a more budget version of it. You got 32nd Stalwart being a 1 cost 2/1 unit, but if you got 2 other units on board, it gains 1/1 to stats, being a more powerful one the more you got on board. And Ahsoka's lightsaber being a pretty nice one, being a 1 cost upgrade for 2 power. And when played, if it's attached to Ahsoka, you can attack with any unit, not just Ahsoka, but any other unit you control, which is pretty cool. So these are pretty nice cards that you get with Ahsoka you can potentially use as well. And then that brings us to the last part of the video, being my preferred aspects, because like in set 1 and 2, people did start to ask about what my preferred aspects would be, so I thought I'd incorporate the set 3 for the of this series, and add it in as well, because I do have preferred aspects for each leader of how I would want to play, and these are mine for Ahsoka. So if I were playing Ahsoka, my main aspect preferred would be green added, because you get access to things like General's Lightsaber being able to power up Ahsoka hugely, and getting the benefit of playing cards that reduce cost was really cool. You get access to things like Comp-Vamp as well as a way to keep units on board to keep that coordinate live. By when he dies, you can look at the top 3 and potentially be a 2-cost unit, discard it, and then play it out at any point during the turn. Or even U reinforcement as well to spam at the board of more units to kind of keep a wide board, to keep that coordinate going live, to keep Ahsoka strong. And then the other one I'll play, if I won't play in green, I will play yellow, because you get some nice benefits of having like Plo Koon is a very good card you can play on Ahsoka's deploy turn. Gets a nice benefit and more force benefits. Also L337 is like units and Crafty Smuggler to keep units on board, so you can keep things a little bit easier on board to help coordinate. And even now there are 2 of them to help spam board a little bit more and even bring out bigger units a little bit better as well, and being a cool trick event. So those are my preferred aspects. You could go for blue as well. Blue would pretty nice, but I think I would focus more on these 2 than blue. Probably not go double red at the moment, but preferably this. And then that is it. So that is my understanding how to build for Ahsoka. So hopefully that's helped you how to build it to suit you and your playstyle. Now, if you do have any comments or any suggestions or any questions, keep putting them down in the description, the comment section below, and answer as best I can. And do remember that this week we're going over the last 2 of the decks for set 3, being the starter deck ones. So the next one we'll have is General Grievous. Finish it off. So that is it for me today. Thank you for watching. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.
Like a boss.